Hokage, the ninja who mastered Sage Jutsu to defeat the Ōtsutsuki. Episode 41. Teacher Orochimaru. Actually, no, just eat more, exercise more, and get enough sleep. Naoki Asakawa said slowly. Really? Shinshu said with some doubt, did I go to bed too late? Or did I exercise too little? By the way, why do you want to grow taller so much? Naoki Asakawa asked curiously. Most people are just curious when they see Naoki Asakawa being so tall at his age. Although Naoki is a bit familiar, his expectant tone shows that he really wants to grow taller. Of course it's because I want to become a Hokage. Naoki said seriously. This is the village founded by my grandfather, and I must protect it. Grandpa? Naoki Asakawa asked, knowingly. Oh, my grandfather is also a powerful ninja. He once founded Konoha with the first Hokage. Realizing that he had spilled the beans, Naoki quickly made up for it, saying that Sister Tsunade had warned him many times and that he could not reveal his identity in front of outsiders. Maybe it was because he felt that Naoki Asakawa was not a bad person, so he became familiar with him so quickly and almost spilled the beans. Then your grandfather is also a great ninja. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. Although Shinshu is kind-hearted and full of ideals, his current mentality is not much different from that of an ordinary 12-year-old child. I am afraid that it was precisely because of his eagerness to become the Hokage that he took some risks during the war, failed to observe the detonating talisman trap, and was eventually taken away by the detonating talisman. But becoming a Hokage doesn't happen overnight. The most important thing now is to grow up safely. You can think about becoming a Hokage when you grow up. Naoki Asakawa advised. Yeah, I'm still too young now. Shinshu was a little disappointed, but he quickly cheered up, clenched his fists, and continued. But I won't give up on my dream of becoming a Hokage. Haha, then you have to be careful, I want to become a Hokage too. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. Even if it's you, I won't give up. Because I also have something to protect. Shinshu also said with a smile. If you ask these ninja school graduates what their dreams are, I'm afraid most of them dream of becoming a Hokage. However, as they grow up, most ninjas will unknowingly recognize themselves and then give up their dream of becoming a Hokage. By the time the third teammate arrived, Naoki Asakawa and Naoki were almost familiar with each other. The third teammate is a boy who looks slightly taller than the rope tree. He has an ordinary appearance and a relatively cold personality. Hello, I am Masamura Oki, this year's 6th grade graduate, 12 years old. Masamura Oki introduced himself. Hello, I am Shinshu. I am also a 6th grade graduate this year. I am 12 years old. Shinshu also introduced himself in imitation of his way. I am Naoki Asakawa. I am a third-year graduate who applied for early graduation. I am 10 years old. Naoki Asakawa also said slowly. When Naoki introduced himself, Masamura Uki didn't have much reaction. As for Naoki's deliberately hidden surname, it was normal. There were still many civilians in the ninja world who did not have surnames and only had first names. When Asakawa Naoki said that he was a third-year graduate, Masamura Oki's eyes flashed with disbelief. He was only 10 years old, but his height was close to that of an adult. Is this guy a monster? However, because of Masamura Oki's cold personality, he did not ask as many questions as Naoki did. He just nodded to show that he knew the two of them and stood aside in the office and stopped talking. Looking at the cold Masamura Oki, Naoki was also a little helpless, feeling that this teammate was a bit difficult to get along with. By the way, Naoki, do you know who our teacher is? Asakawa Naoki asked. Although the Hokage I watched in my previous life did not clearly state who the teacher of the rope tree was, many netizens once speculated that the teacher of the rope tree was Orochimaru, one of the Sannin. I don't know either. Shinshu shook his head. If there were no rules set by second Hokage, his teacher would most likely be his sister. Fortunately, second Hokage has stipulated that you cannot choose your own relatives as students, and Naoki does not want his sister to be his teacher. Looks like you're all here. Before I saw him, I heard his voice first. In addition to a somewhat cold voice, Naoki Asakawa's powerful hearing also heard a hissing sound, which made him confirm his guess. I saw the office door being pushed open, and a figure wearing a black combat uniform walked in. On the figure's shoulder, an unknown gray python was hissing and spitting out snakes to collect the surrounding scent particles. Hello, I am Orochimaru, and I will also be your future teacher. Orochimaru smiled. It's indeed Orochimaru. Asakawa Naoki was a little helpless. He didn't expect that he would be assigned to Orochimaru's team. Orochimaru-sensei. Naoki was a little excited. He didn't expect that he could become Orochimaru's apprentice. As a teammate, Orochimaru often does missions with Tsunade and Jiraiya, so he naturally knows the rope tree. The rope tree also knows the power of Orochimaru. Although they have not yet received the title of Sannin at this time, the three Orochimaru have become representatives of young ninjas in Konoha. Being able to become Orochimaru's disciple will naturally bring Naoki one step closer to his dream of becoming a Hokage, so why not be happy? Naoki, I will be your teacher from now on. Orochimaru touched Naoki's hair. He would naturally take good care of Tsunade's brother. Looking at this scene, a trace of surprise flashed in Masamura Oki's eyes. He didn't expect that the seemingly ordinary rope tree actually knew the instructor. After appeasing the rope tree, Orochimaru looked at Asakawa Naoki again, with a hint of interest in his eyes. You seemed afraid of me just now? Orochimaru said softly. Teacher Orochimaru, I'm a little afraid of snakes. Naoki Asakawa said helplessly. The moment he saw Orochimaru, Asakawa Naoki admitted that he was indeed a little scared, worried that Orochimaru would discover his secret and then slice himself up for study. However, Asakawa Naoki soon figured out that these were just the fears brought to him by the memories of his previous life. In fact, the Second Ninja War has not yet begun, and Orochimaru should still be called a good person or a good ninja at this time. A gentleman does not care about his heart when discussing his deeds. There is no perfect person in the world when it comes to his heart. Regardless of whether Orochimaru's heart has begun to twist now, but as long as he has not begun to degenerate yet, Asakawa Naoki, as a Konoha ninja, does not have to worry too much about him harming himself. As for the future, give him a few more years to grow up. If Orochimaru dares to take advantage of him, he will get his head twisted. Oh? My snake really likes you. Orochimaru smiled, and the gray python on his shoulder also moved a little, stood upright, and gently touched Asakawa Naoki's cheek with his snake Nobuko. It says you taste good. Episode 42. Grabbing the bell. As long as he likes it, Asakawa Naoki said helplessly. He was indeed afraid of snakes in his previous life, but he was fine after traveling through time. There are too many news about being bitten to death by Lion Majesty, probably because of his mortal body in his previous life. But it is different in this world. After embarking on the path of cultivating immortals, these long snakes are no different from pigs and dogs in the eyes of Asakawa Naoki. This means they are confident. How can the strong be afraid of the weak? Seeing that Asakawa Naoki was no longer afraid, Orochimaru did not tease him anymore, but took out 3 forehead protectors engraved with the Konohagakure logo and tied with blue straps. The moment the forehead protector appeared, the eyes of Asakawa Naoki and the other 3 people were all attracted by the forehead protector, especially Naoki's eyes were the most intense. As long as they can wear a forehead protector, they can become a true Konoha genin. Wear this forehead protector, and you will be Konoha's ninjas from now on. Orochimaru said slowly. Thank you Orochimaru-sensei. After receiving the forehead protector, Nashi was the first to put it on, with a bit of a silly smile on his face. As soon as he became genin, he had already begun to imagine what it would be like to become Hokage in the future. Thank you Orochimaru-sensei. Naoki Asakawa and Oki Masamura also received forehead protectors and wore them on their foreheads. Sure enough, I didn't feel it before I put on the forehead protector. It was only after I put on the forehead protector that I really felt that I had become a real ninja. There is still some time before lunch, so let me teach you the first lesson. Orochimaru said. Follow me. After speaking, Orochimaru took the lead and opened the door to leave the office, followed by Asakawa Naoki and the other 3. Looking at the 3 people behind him, Orochimaru ran out of the ninja school without stopping and rushed towards the training ground closest to the ninja school. So fast. Seeing that Orochimaru was about to disappear, the 3 people following him couldn't help but speed up, even faster than during the physical test. Naoki Asakawa is naturally not afraid of losing track. He can even keep up with Orochimaru's speed directly. He just needs to take care of his 2 teammates before running with them. Although Naoki has not awakened the special physique of the Senju clan, his physical fitness is not bad and he can keep up, while Masamura Oki grits his teeth and follows them, determined not to fall behind. Not long after I ran out of the ninja school, the surrounding environment became more and more desolate, with fewer buildings and more forests. Are you here for the training ground? Is it the ancestral bell grabbing? Naoki Asakawa has probably guessed the answer. Bell grabbing is a tradition taught by the Hokage family. Hiruzen Sarutobi used bell grabbing when teaching Sannin, Minato Namikaze used bell grabbing when teaching Kakashi and the others, and Kakashi also used bell grabbing when teaching Naruto and the others. Sure enough, when Orochimaru noticed that Masamura Oki's physical strength was a little weak and his speed was gradually slowing down, he finally stopped. Today, your task is to snatch the bell from my hand. Orochimaru slowly took out a small bell and hung it on his waist. After thinking about it, Orochimaru took out another scroll, opened it, and directly channeled 3 ninja tool bags, and threw them to the 3 of them. You can take action, don't worry about hurting me, and don't worry about me hurting you. Orochimaru said. I understand, teacher. The 3 of them nodded. Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes to discuss tactics. We'll start in 10 minutes. After speaking, Orochimaru took the initiative to walk behind a tree in the distance, indicating that he would not eavesdrop on their tactics. Have you thought of any tactics? Asakawa Naoki looked at Naoki and Masamura Oki, both of whom shook their heads. So what are you good at ninjutsu? Naoki Asakawa asked again. The 2 shook their heads again. Apart from the 3-body technique and throwing technique, they basically didn't know any other ninjutsu. In fact, this is the real situation of civilian ninjas. Generally speaking, when civilian ninjas graduate, they may only know 3 skills: taijutsu, 3-body techniques, and throwing techniques. Because the graduation examination of ninja school only takes these 3 items, most civilian students often only study these 3 items in ninja school in order to pass the examination. On the other hand, most civilian ninjas don't have ninjutsu to learn before they graduate and become ninjas. Like Naoki Asakawa, his parents were both ninjas. He was left with a ninjutsu scroll of the Great Fireball technique, which made him a very good civilian ninja family. Masamura Uki is a typical representative of civilian ninjas, while Naoki is Tsunade's hope that he will lay a solid foundation in the ninja school and then learn ninjutsu after graduation, so he only knows the above 3. In that case, how about you just listen to my tactics? Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. He was originally the strongest among the 3, and Naoki and the others had no idea, so in the end they naturally followed Asakawa Naoki's tactics. First of all, which one of you is good at transformation? Asakawa Naoki asked. Anyone who has watched Hokage knows that the essence of grabbing the bell is to let the 3 ninjas in the team learn to cooperate. If you want to steal the bell from Orochimaru, who is already a jonin, with your personal ability, unless Naoki Asakawa reveals his true strength. I'll do it. Shinshu volunteered. Then let's do this. Asakawa Naoki assigned the task to the 2 of them, and while there was still enough time, he let the rope tree test the effect of the transformation technique twice, and pulled the rope when the rope tree wasn't paying attention. Next, rope tree hair. In this way, the hair of the Senju clan is available. As for the hair of the Hyuga clan, he pulled one of his classmates' hair before graduation. After a while, when Orochimaru reappeared in the clearing, Asakawa Naoki and the other 3 had disappeared. Hiding? Before Orochimaru could move, the sound of friction between the shuriken and the air reached his ears. Want to grab the bell with a shuriken? Orochimaru originally thought that only one person was throwing shuriken to cover the attack of the other 2. But the next moment, the sound of shurikens rubbing the air came from the other 2 directions. The shurikens flying from 3 directions made it difficult for Orochimaru to dodge. 3 people throwing shurikens together? It's a good technique, but what happens if you run out of shurikens? The shurikens thrown by the 3 people at the same time were as dense as a violent storm, but Orochimaru was like a small boat dancing in the rain, unable to hit it no matter what the wind and rain came. Are the shurikens almost used up? Orochimaru estimated in his mind that there were less than 30 shurikens and kunai in the ninja bag he gave the 3 of them, so they should be almost used now. As the last shuriken passed by Orochimaru, Orochimaru was looking forward to the next actions of the 3. But the shuriken that passed by suddenly stretched out a hand, grabbed the bell on Orochimaru's waist, and then turned into a rope tree in the white mist. Teacher Orochimaru, we won. Naoki said with a happy smile. The moment Naoki got the bell, Asakawa Naoki and Masamura Oki also walked out from behind the jungle. Asakawa's throwing skills are good, and your cooperation is also very good. Orochimaru applauded and praised. Asakawa threw shurikens from 2 directions and worked with Masamura to create the illusion that all 3 of them were throwing shurikens to reduce my vigilance. Then let the rope tree transform into a shuriken, and when I get out of the way, it will return to its original form and steal the bell. It seems that you have initially grasped the core of the ninja team, which is unity and cooperation. Of course, the fundamental reason why the 3 of them were able to successfully grab the bell was because Orochimaru was not serious. If you are more serious, as long as you use perception ninjutsu to sense the positions of Asakawa Naoki and Naoki, the 3 people's tactics will be self-defeating. Let's wait here for a while and then go to eat together. Orochimaru said. Episode 43. The storm is coming. Not long after, 4 figures appeared not far from Orochimaru's team. The leader was tall, with white hair and 2 narrow eyeshadows under his eyes. Hey, Orochimaru, your team has also finished grabbing the bell. The white-haired team leader smiled. Behind him, Minato Namikaze, who had blonde hair and a smile, was particularly eye-catching, making the other two pale in comparison. The visitors were naturally Jiraiya and the 3-man team he led. After conducting bell-grabbing training and seeing the strength of Namikaze Minato, Jiraiya was even more certain that Namikaze Minato was the prophesied son of the great Toad Sage. As for the other 2 apprentices, he just picked them randomly because of his aptitude. Naoki, I didn't expect to meet again so soon. Minato Namikaze looked at Asakawa Naoki and smiled. Yes. Naoki Asakawa also felt a little emotional. He had already guessed that Jiraiya would accept the Feng Shui clan as his disciple, but he did not guess that Orochimaru would accept him as his disciple. Did your team complete it successfully? Orochimaru asked in surprise. He was indeed caught by Naoki just now, because Naoki Asakawa's tactics were careless. Could it be that Jiraiya was as careless as himself? Of course. Let me tell you, I found a treasure this time. Jiraiya said with a happy smile. As long as you follow what the great Toad Sage said and train Minato with all your strength, he might be able to bring peace to the entire ninja world in the future. Haha. Orochimaru smiled and said nothing. He naturally knew that Jiraiya still believed in the so-called prophecy. Orochimaru believes in himself more than the son of prophecy who saves the world in the misty prophecy. Let's wait for Tsunade here. Compared with my disciples, it will probably take a while for Tsunade's disciples to complete the bell-grabbing training. Jiraiya said with a smile. It can be seen that he is really happy to receive Namikaze Minato as his disciple. Jiraiya, my disciples are no worse than yours. While Jiraiya was talking, 4 more slender figures slowly walked out of the jungle. The one at the head was a somewhat familiar blonde beauty, Tsunade. However, Asakawa Naoki's eyes did not stay on Tsunade, but looked through Tsunade and saw 2 familiar figures behind her. Kushina, Mikoto, are you here too? Asakawa Naoki said with some joy. I didn't expect that Naoki-kuin's teacher and Tsunade-sensei are friends. Uchiha Mikoto chuckled. Yes, Tsunade-sensei is amazing. Uzumaki Kushina said happily. Because the seniority is a bit confusing, Kushina usually calls Tsunade sister, but when working, she definitely can't call her sister, she has to call her teacher. Although they were not able to join a tutor, if their tutors were friends, they would have more opportunities to perform tasks together in the future. Naoki Asakawa didn't expect that Tsunade would accept the 2 of them as apprentices, let alone Uzumaki Kushina. After all, she was the same race as Tsunade's grandmother Uzumaki Mito, and she still had some blood relationship. What surprised him was that Tsunade accepted Uchiha Mikoto as her disciple. After all, Tsunade was from the Senju clan, and Mikoto was from the Uchiha clan. Even if the 2 clans jointly established Konoha village, the blood feud could not disappear so easily. Not to mention, Tsunade's grandfather Senju Hashirama died young because of Uchiha Madara. The fundamental reason why Tsunade accepted Uchiha Mikoto as a disciple was because of something her teacher, Hiruzen Sarutobi, said. Tsunade, I hope you can accept Uchiha Mikoto as your disciple. Although Tsunade didn't know that Hiruzen Sarutobi wanted to use Uchiha Mikoto and Naoki Asakawa to divide and merge the Uchiha clan, she finally chose to believe in her teacher. This is the real reason why Tsunade accepted Uchiha Mikoto. Now that everyone is here, let's go eat first. Jiraiya said with a smile. Now that the training mission has been achieved, the 3 instructors Jonin did not need to be in such a hurry and slowly walked towards Konoha. Behind the 3 instructors, the 9 students also got to know each other a lot during the chat. Asakawa Naoki also met Tsunade's remaining female apprentice named Kisaragi Sirai, and the 2 male apprentices accepted by Jiraiya were named Kobayashi Oishi and Inoue Shigeru. When they arrived at a barbecue restaurant, an Umbu ninja wearing black clothes and a cat face mask appeared in front of Jiraiya and the other 3. Master Orochimaru. Master Hokage has something important to discuss. Master Hokage is back? Tsunade said with a smile. Although 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is very serious, he cares a lot about them. But the old man has been so busy recently that he didn't even have time to host the graduation ceremony of the ninja school, and he didn't know why he was looking for them. The Umbu ninja was hesitant to speak, but finally said. The situation has changed. Orochimaru-sama, please go to the Hokage office first. The situation has changed? Tsunade looked at the Umbu ninja and asked, can Jiraiya and I go together? Yes, Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama had better go together. Umbu ninja nodded. It seems that there is indeed something going on. Orochimaru looked at the 9 disciples behind him, took out a wad of money and handed it to Naoki Asakawa and said, "You can go eat by yourself today. We may have a mission over there. If nothing else happens, gather here tomorrow morning and we will take you to start the task." "Okay, teacher," everyone said in unison. "Let's go first." After Orochimaru finished speaking, the 3 of them disappeared from the spot together with the Umbu ninja, and the next moment they appeared 100 meters away. The teleportation technique is still fast. Naoki Asakawa sighed in his heart, wondering when he would get the scroll of the teleportation technique. "Okay, let's go eat first." Naoki Asakawa walked into the barbecue restaurant with the money given by Orochimaru. Although there were 3 missing teachers, the atmosphere at the 9-person dinner was quite harmonious. On the other side, Tsunade and the other 3 have arrived at the Hokage office. At the gate of opening, sitting in the Hokage's seat, was a tired-looking Hiruzen Sarutobi. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was in his prime. He usually looked very energetic, but recently he was a little exhausted because of too many things to deal with, and he looked a little haggard in appearance. "Teacher, why did you call us here?" Orochimaru asked. Of course, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. "To make a long story short, I need you to quickly go to the border between the land of fire and the land of rain." "Has that Hanzo guy done something strange again?" Orochimaru asked curiously. In addition to the 5 major countries in the ninja world, the country of rain is the strongest. However, the geographical location of the Kingdom of Rain is very awkward. It is sandwiched between 3 major countries. As a result, the only way for it to become strong is to defeat the 3 major countries. The current leader of the Rain country, Sanshuyu Hanzo, is a powerful ninja with a strong personality. He is unwilling to surrender to the 3 major kingdoms, which leads to frequent changes in the Rain country. "That's right, and this time it may be serious." Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed. "I have sent additional manpower to the Kingdom of Wind and Kingdom of Thunder to take precautions. Where war is most likely to break out, I can only rely on you." "I understand, Lord Hokage," the 3 of them said in unison. Episode 44. Heading to the Country of Rain. Early the next morning, when Asakawa Naoki and others arrived at the place agreed upon yesterday, the 3 Orochimaru people were already waiting here. "Pack up the things you need to bring. We have to go to the border of the Land of Fire to do a mission. It may take a long time," Orochimaru said to Asakawa Naoki and the others. On the other side, Jiraiya and Tsunade are also announcing to their disciples that they are going to the Land of Rain. After the notice, the 9 people immediately dispersed like birds and beasts and went home to pack some things. When Naoki Asakawa returned home, he actually didn't have much to bring. After thinking for a while, he finally took the Sage Jutsu scroll with him. This trip to the Land of Rain was going to take who knows how long, and the scroll was not safe at home. Carrying the most important Sage Jutsu scroll with him, Asakawa Naoki picked up the ninja tool bag that Orochimaru gave them yesterday. There were more than 20 refined shuriken and kunai in it. It would cost a lot of money to buy it by himself. Finally, Asakawa Naoki picked up the defective sword that he had missed 2 years ago. Today's defective tachi has been sharpened by Asakawa Naoki in his spare time, and it is also mixed with a small amount of chakra metal leftovers for making flying swords. Although the quality is far inferior to the 2 flying swords in his sleeves made entirely of chakra metal, it is still it's enough for Chunin. Sitting on the carriage, Asakawa Naoki was also quite emotional. He had just graduated and had not even done a single task, and he was going to the Land of Rain the next day. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen did not release the information, they still did not know the urgency of the Fire Nation's frontline at this moment. When Hiruzen Sarutobi was unable to go to the Kingdom of Rain in person and sent the elite ninjas in Konoha village to defend the Kingdom of Wind and Thunder, he could only send 3 of his disciples to guard the Kingdom of Rain. The 3 Orochimaru also discussed whether to bring Naoki Asakawa and his disciples to the Land of Rain. Jiraiya was the first to support bringing them to the Country of Rain. He believed that only by experiencing hardships can one grow quickly. The experience of the Country of Rain was the whetstone for Namake's Minato, the son of the prophecy. Suna held objections. She was still a little worried about the safety of these students who had just graduated, especially since the rope tree was still among them. Eventually, the pressure came to Orochimaru. Orochimaru also thought about it. Because of the current tense situation in the ninja world, all ninjas are very busy, and they cannot leave their disciples to other ninjas to take care of them temporarily. Moreover, even if you take the disciples with you and let them do some logistical work in the rear, there shouldn't be much of a problem with them blocking the front line. So Orochimaru finally voted in favor, and Tsunade had no choice but to agree, taking all 3 disciples to the Land of Rain. Now that they have decided to go to the Kingdom of Rain, the group of people naturally cannot go empty-handed. Instead, they accept a escort mission and sit on the carriage to guard and move forward with the materials to be sent to the Kingdom of Rain. There are 10 carriages in total. The 3 disciples of Orochimaru and Naoki Asakawa sit at the front of the carriage. The 3 disciples of Jiraiya and Minato Namikaze sit at the back of the carriage. The 3 disciples of Tsunade and Kushina sit in the middle. Location. In this way, no matter which side has a problem, as long as it can resist for a while, others can take care of it in time. As for the Orochimaru 3, after giving them the mission, they rushed to the border of the Land of Rain and the Land of Fire. Having said that, in fact, only Orochimaru and Tsunade rushed to the border, while Jiraiya was left to take care of their safety. However, in order to train their abilities, Jiraiya did not go to the Land of Rain with the caravan, but kept a distance not too close and not far away and hid behind the caravan to prevent them from knowing. In this way, with Orochimaru and Tsunade here, there should be no problems at the Fire Country border in a short time, and there is no need to worry about the safety of the disciples. It can also allow them to accumulate mission experience, which can be said to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Don't underestimate the task of transporting supplies. The basic task is sea level. Considering the current turbulent situation in the ninja world, enemies may appear at any time when transporting supplies to the front line. This mission may become a B-level mission at any time, which is a mission that only Chunin can accept. Generally speaking, it would be impossible for freshly graduated genins like them to take on tasks of this level. If it weren't for the guarantee from Orochimaru and others, the people in the caravan would not have allowed them to take on this mission. But even so, the eyes of the caravan leader sitting at the front looking at Asakawa Naoki and others were full of distrust, which made Naoki feel quite angry. Okay, practice quickly. Asakawa Naoki reminded in a low voice, didn't teacher Orochimaru ask you to learn ninjutsu? Okay. The unhappiness in Shinshu's heart gradually disappeared. He looked at the scroll in his hand and felt a little excited. I can finally learn ninjutsu. This is the ninjutsu scroll Orochimaru gave them before leaving, so that they could have time to learn it. Although he was of high birth, Naoki was never able to learn ninjutsu because of Tsunade. The ninjutsu given by Orochimaru was the first ninjutsu he learned besides the 3-body technique. Wind escape, great breakthrough. Another of their teammates, Masamura Oki, is also learning ninjutsu with a scroll. Since both Naoki and Masamura Oki seemed to possess the wind release chakra, Orochimaru was worried that they would bite off more than they could chew, so he gave them the same ninjutsu, both wind release great breakthrough. Naoki Asakawa also has such a ninjutsu scroll, but it is not wind release ninjutsu, but a sea-level lightning style ninjutsu, lightning style, thunder needle. After all, he has the dual spirit roots of thunder and fire. He has already learned a fire spell, and finally asked Orochimaru for a lightning style ninjutsu. However, he simply opened it and read it, and wrote down all the contents, preparing to find an uninhabited place and use the Sage Jutsu scroll to confirm it into a Sage Jutsu that he could practice. Unable to practice ninjutsu on the carriage, Asakawa Naoki was alert to the surrounding disturbances while concentrating on running the basic chi refining technique. Feeling that the food he had eaten in the morning was quickly digested and absorbed, turned into essence continuously, and then quenched into mana, Asakawa Naoki felt somewhat satisfied. Since successfully igniting the essence fire, Asakawa Naoki discovered the magic of Samadhi true fire. After igniting the essence fire, he doesn't even need to run the Samadhi true fire. The essence fire located in the heart will run on its own, helping him to quench the essence, which is equivalent to practicing all the time. Not only is the whole body not as hot and red as before when practicing Samadhi true fire, but the speed of quenching the essence is even faster. As a result, it might have taken several years to accumulate mana to break through the process of refining energy and becoming a god. Now Asakawa Naoki is confident that he can shorten the time by more than half. Now, the only embarrassing thing is that Asakawa Naoki is getting hungry faster, and even has to suppress the speed of quenching essence to prevent his stomach from growling. Episode 45. Bingliang Pills and Night Watch. You won't have to worry about food when you practice to the point where you can refine your energy and become a god. Naoki Asakawa comforted himself in his heart. In the first stage of cultivating immortals, you need to eat more to refine your energy, extract the energy from food, and then quench the energy into mana. In the second stage of refining chi and transforming into a god, there is no need to seek internally, but instead seek externally, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from the outside to quench it into magic power. According to the description in the basic chi refining technique, when you break through to the second level, you will have very little need for food. When you practice to the highest level, you can even achieve anidia, that is, you can feed on the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and no longer need to eat ordinary food to maintain yourself. Life. However, there seems to be something in the ninja world that can replace food. An idea flashed in Asakawa Naoki's mind. Bingliangwen. In the early stages of Hokage, the Bingliang pill can be said to be a very important item. It can not only restore the ninja's chakra, but also temporarily increase the chakra limit. In order to defeat Naruto, Inuzuka Kiba and Akamaru took the Hyoryo pills together. Yakushi Kabuto also took the Hyoryo pills to improve his combat power in order to defeat Tsunade. In the middle and late stages of Hokage, probably because of some bugs in Bingliangwen, it almost never appeared again. But this is the real ninja world, and Bingliangwen does exist. However, the Bingliang pills in this world do not have such a heaven-defying effect, and it is simply impossible to increase the upper limit of chakra. As for the chakra that restores ninjas, I can only say that it has an effect, but not much. Because in the final analysis, Bingliang pill is a kind of food similar to compressed biscuits. It is small in size, high in energy, and easy to absorb. It was a perfect carbohydrate bomb in the previous life. Therefore, the effect of Bingliang pills on restoring ninja chakra is, in the final analysis, the physical strength restored by ninjas after eating food. This kind of recovery is very slow, just like eating. Even because of the bad taste, ninjas are generally unwilling to take military food pills if they can eat. But in this world that is still in war and strife, compressed food like Bingliang pills is indispensable, because sometimes the war is urgent and there is no time to eat, so eating 2 Bingliang pills is just right to fill your stomach. Before igniting the fire of essence, Asakawa Naoki had no idea of Boryo pills. Because his speed of quenching essence is limited, he only needs to eat a little more than 3 meals a day to meet the needs of a day's practice. But it was different now. After igniting the essence fire, his body stopped practicing all the time, and he couldn't eat often during the mission. But gadgets like Bingliang pills were not only easy to carry, but also contained a lot of energy. Thinking of this, Naoki Asakawa looked at the 2 people sitting opposite who were learning ninjutsu. Naoshu, Masamura, do you have any military food pills? Asakawa Naoki asked casually. It would be better if you have them, but it's okay if you don't have them. They will definitely be sold at the front line. I didn't. Masamura Oki said, shaking his head. What do you want this for? Naoki asked curiously, taking out a pack of pills from his clothes and handing them to Asakawa Naoki, and then said. My sister prepared this for me. Although it is very resistant to hunger, it tastes terrible. If there is dry food, no one will eat it. Thank you, I just want to try the taste of Bingliangwen. Naoki Asakawa took out a Bingliangwen. The soldier's food pill in his hand is about the same size as the marbles Naoki Asakawa played with when he was a child in his previous life. There are dozens of them in a pack. It looks dark in appearance. It doesn't taste bitter, but it tastes weird. I don't know what it is made of. There was no way out yet, so Asakawa Naoki took one first. It can be said that the taste has no texture at all, it is a bit hard, and it tastes weird, like many kinds of delicious food mixed together, but in the end it becomes unpalatable. Just like bananas are delicious, red dates are also delicious, but when they are mixed together, they will have a rancid smell. With this taste, it's no wonder that ninjas are reluctant to eat military food pills unless absolutely necessary. However, Naoki Asakawa didn't care much about the taste. He chewed it twice and swallowed it, and drank a few more water. The Bingliang pill entered his stomach and quickly filled Asakawa Naoki's hunger. It's quite anti-hungry. Naoki Asakawa felt it. The energy after digestion of one pill was close to that of a bowl of ramen. It's no wonder that many ninjas can skip meals after eating 2 pills. If you like it, I'll give it to you. Shinshu said nonchalantly, and then thought of something and reminded him. By the way, my sister told me not to eat too much of this food. Generally speaking, you can only eat 2 pills at most in one meal. If you eat too much, your body will not be able to bear it. I understand, I will repay you with the mission reward when I wait for the front line. Asakawa Naoki said. Although Shinshu didn't care about the money, he couldn't help but care. It's a pity that his savings have been almost eaten up, but there is still some reward for this mission. If the reward is not enough, he will have to pay it back slowly. I told you that you're welcome. Shinshu said helplessly. During the day on the first day, because it was relatively close to Konoha, the caravan was relatively safe. Almost no one without a good eye dared to openly attack the caravan within Konoha. It's already getting late, let's rest here tonight. The person in charge of the Chamber of Commerce found a piece of flat ground as a place to set up camp. After feeding the horses, several members of the Chamber of Commerce also began to set up tents under his command. In fact, according to what Asakawa Naoki and the others learned at the ninja school, the location for setting up camp should be at a higher ground with a better view. But now, the person in charge of the caravan looked down upon them and did not consult them at all when choosing the location. After thinking for a while, Asakawa Naoki and the others finally did not object. When the caravan was setting up tents, half of Asakawa Naoki and the other 9 were responsible for guarding and the other half were responsible for setting up camp. After lighting the bonfire and eating dry food, the caravan members entered the tents to sleep one after another. However, Asakawa Naoki and others could not rest so early. "Let's keep vigil separately tonight," Naoki Asakawa suggested. "Agreed," Namikaze Minato said. "We have 3 teams, how about taking turns to keep watch every night?" "Agreed." Uchiha Mikoto nodded. Although the 3 teams have no apparent captains, after the bell-grabbing test, Naoki Asakawa, Minato Namikaze, and Uchiha Mikoto have become the leaders of the teams, and no one else objected to the plan agreed by the 3 of them. "Then our team will be responsible for keeping vigil today," Naoki Asakawa said. "Then our team will keep watch tomorrow," Namikaze Minato said. "Leave it to us the day after tomorrow," Uchiha Mikoto agreed. "Then you all go to rest first." After Asakawa Naoki finished speaking, he looked at Naoki and Masamura Oki, and then said, "Let me keep watch for the first half of tonight. The second half of the night will be more difficult, so I'll leave it to you 2 to watch together." "Got it," Naoki and Masamura Daiki said in unison. However, seeing Naoki's excitement, Asakawa Naoki had some doubts about whether he could fall asleep in the middle of the night. Episode 46. Thunder in the Palm. When setting up camp, the tents of the caravan members were gathered together, and as the ninja who guarded the caravan, Naoki Asakawa's 3 teams each set up a tent, with 3 people living in one tent, and the 3 tents formed a triangle to guard the outside of the caravan members. In this way, no matter which side an attack occurs from, one of their 3 ninja teams can always take precautions in time, while the other 2 can also provide timely support. Watching everyone return to their tents, Asakawa Naoki swallowed 2 soldiers' food pills and drank some water to facilitate digestion and absorption. Because the campsite chosen by the caravan was too flat and there were no trees to cover it, Asakawa Naoki could only sit by the campfire and keep vigil. Feeling the burning of the essence fire in his body, which quickly digested and quenched the 2 Bingliang pills he had just eaten into essence, Asakawa Naoki felt that the taste of the Bingliang pills was not an unacceptable shortcoming. It's time to see what Sage Jutsu lightning style can prove. First, sense if there are any enemies around. Asakawa Naoki concentrated his mind and sensed the surrounding situation. Although his mental power has not yet been transformed into spiritual consciousness, and he cannot learn to perceive ninjutsu, Asakawa Naoki's perception is very keen, especially since the late breakthrough. Not even the slightest movement within 100 meters can escape his perception. In Asakawa Naoki's perception, everyone in the caravan has basically fallen asleep, and most of his teammates have also fallen asleep. Only among the tents of Nashu and Masamura Oki's breathing was stable and he must have fallen asleep, while Nashu was still tossing and turning, probably because he was too excited to go on a mission for the first time and couldn't fall asleep. That person should be one of Orochimaru and the others. Close to the edge of Asakawa Naoki's perception, a figure was lying on the trunk of a big tree. Although he didn't move his hands, he could still feel his powerful power. Ever since the convoy set off, Naoki Asakawa had sensed that this figure had been following them not far or near. Combined with the fact that this figure was powerful but had no ill intentions toward them, it was easy to guess his identity. Although the 3 Orochimaru said they wanted to rush to the front line as quickly as possible, they certainly couldn't really let their group of newly graduated genin go out of the village to carry out escort missions. So it was the best choice for 2 people to rush to the front line and 1 person to guard the convoy. 2 people on the front line are enough to stabilize the situation, and the last person slowly accompanying the apprentices is just right. Tsunade and Orochimaru are more suitable for commanding frontline wars, so there is a high probability that Jiraiya will be the one. Sensing that Jiraiya was resting and that everyone else in the camp was also resting, Naoki Asakawa carefully took out the Sage Jutsu scroll. I wonder what Sage Jutsu can be proven. Naoki Asakawa held the Sage Jutsu scroll, completely recalled the lightning-style lightning needle training method written down on the carriage in his mind, and then opened the Sage Jutsu scroll. As expected, the Sage Jutsu scroll has a new spell, and it is also the thunder spell that Naoki Asakawa was familiar with in his previous life. Thunder in the palm. Compared with big spells like Samadhi True Fire, the level of palm thunder is obviously lower. However, sometimes there are advantages to being at a lower level. Hokage intermediate and low-level ninjutsu is not only easier to learn, it also consumes less chakra, and it doesn't take too long to form seals. In most battles, you don't have that much time to prepare a high-level ninjutsu with the ninja seal. That's why Muji ninjutsu like Rasengan is so powerful, especially when combined with Flying Thunder God. In the same way, although the power of Palm Thunder is definitely not comparable to that of Samadhi True Fire, the difficulty of learning and the speed of use are not at the same level. It took Naoki Asakawa 3 years to successfully ignite the Fire of Essence. It is not known how long it will take to follow up the Fire of Chi and Fire of God. According to Palm Lei's description, it is very easy for monks in Lilingen to get started, and most monks can learn it in just a few days. After Asakawa Naoki wrote down the training methods of Palm Thunder, he put the Sage Jutsu scroll in his arms and began to practice Palm Thunder. Is this the Palm Thunder? Asakawa Naoki looked at the trembling blue lightning in his hand, feeling a little happy in his heart. Don't underestimate this weak lightning. If it really hits a person, it will cause more than just numbness. Moreover, according to the description of Palm Thunder, if you practice it to great perfection, you can wave thunder as powerful as the heaven and earth in just a raise of your hand. But now that Naoki Asakawa is using his Palm Thunder with all his strength, he is probably no more powerful than Chidori at best. Continue to practice. Asakawa Naoki was preparing to continue practicing, when a figure slowly approached in the night. Rose Tree, it's not even midnight yet, why did you come to change your shift so soon? Asakawa Naoki extinguished the lightning in his hand and turned to look behind him. The person who came was the somewhat embarrassed Naoki. Sorry, Asakawa, I was so excited about my first mission that I couldn't sleep. I just wanted to keep vigil with you. Naoki said helplessly. No need to apologize. It's normal to perform a mission for the first time. Naoki Asakawa shook his head and said. Since you can't sleep, let's keep a vigil together. I'll wake up Masamura Oki in the middle of the night. Okay. Shinshu nodded. Asakawa Naoki ate a soldier's food pill and drank a few more sips of water. Since Naoki couldn't practice Palm Thunder when he was around, he had to quench his energy to increase his magic power. You are really good at eating. Shinshu smiled and said, you can eat something as disgusting as Bing Liang pills. There's nothing I can do, I digest too quickly. Naoki Asakawa shook his head helplessly, and then asked, curiously. By the way, why do you want to be a Hokage? Of course it's because I want to protect Konoha like Grandpa. As he spoke, there seemed to be light in Shinshu's eyes. Why do you want to be a Hokage? Naoki asked. Me, Naoki Asakawa recalled the scene when he first crossed over, and then looked at the tent where Kushina was. I'm afraid it wasn't until he saw Kushina being bullied that he couldn't help but take action that Asakawa Naoki truly integrated into this world. The Hokage world in his past life memory has become a reality. Since he knows the conspiracies and tragedies in advance, and has the power and possibility to change the world, he naturally wants to change the world. I want to change the world. Asakawa Naoki said slowly. Haha, let's work hard together. Shinshu said with a smile. Yes. Asakawa Naoki nodded. At this moment, Asakawa Naoki heard footsteps approaching from far away. The voice wasn't loud, and it wasn't as light as a ninja. It was probably just an ordinary person. At this moment, as a branch was trampled and broken, the rope tree also heard the movement of people. Someone. Rope tree immediately became alert. At the same time, Jirai, who was lying on a tree trunk in the distance, was also paying attention to the situation here. What will these two brats choose? Jiraiya asked curiously. Episode 47. Refugees. Don't worry too much, there is only one person, and it should be an ordinary person. Asakawa Naoki said. A normal person? After hearing Naoki Asakawa's explanation, Naoki finally relaxed a little. The problem they face now is very simple, whether to wake up everyone else or to investigate alone. If it were in a horror movie, if the two of them went to investigate alone at this time, they would basically kill someone. But if the other party is just an ordinary person who is attracted by the bonfire, and disturbs everyone's rest because of an ordinary person, it seems to be a bit of a fuss. Let's stand still and wait for him to come. Asakawa Naoki said slowly. Yeah. Shinshu nodded. After a while, with the help of the light of the bonfire, Asakawa Naoki and the two men were finally able to see the figure clearly. They saw, not far in front of them, a thin, middle-aged man who looked like a refugee and was wearing no clothes but slowly approaching the bonfire. Stop. Who are you? Why are you approaching us? Naoki Asakawa asked. Naoshu also looked at the man in front of him, but his eyes were full of sympathy because of his miserable appearance. Kids, do you have anything to eat? The middle-aged man asked. Yes, it may be a bit bitter, you should eat some first. After Naoki said this, he looked at Asakawa Naoki and motioned for him to give him 2 Bingliang pills. Okay. Asakawa Naoki took out 2 soldiers' food pills, and then took a bottle of water and handed it to the middle-aged man. After receiving the food pills, which was difficult for most ninjas to swallow, the middle-aged man actually enjoyed it. After swallowing the 2 pills with water, he showed a peaceful expression. Naoki, go and wake everyone up. Asakawa Naoki said to Naoki. Okay. Shinshu nodded and rushed towards the tent. In fact, several genin had already noticed the voices of Naoki Asakawa and the middle-aged man, and they woke up and rushed around the fire. Only a few people in the caravan were sleeping peacefully and were not awake yet. After Shinshu woke everyone up, the person in charge of the caravan came over with some resentment. Shinshu was also a little angry. He must have been reprimanded by the person in charge. What's the matter? The person in charge of the caravan looked at Naoki Asakawa with some dissatisfaction and said. Naoki Asakawa ignored the person in charge's eyes and simplified what the middle-aged man just said. In fact, the identity of the middle-aged man is not complicated. He is just a man whose family was ruined because of being a ronin. According to what he said, because of those ronin, he had not eaten for several days and was close to running out of gas. No wonder he took the Bingliang pills without hesitation. Sir, can you let me go with the caravan to other villages? I can work, I just need a little food. The middle-aged man begged. Our caravan doesn't need anyone else. The person in charge of the caravan said coldly. You either get away now, or I'll kill you now. Mr. Sawaki, you are going too far. Naoki couldn't help but said. At this moment, the rope tree is like a passionate young man who has just emerged from society. When he sees social injustice, he will help as a matter of course. You ninjas, I pay to hire you, I am the employer. The caravan leader Sawaki Koichi sneered. If your teacher hadn't promised me this, do you think I would have hired you freshly graduated genin? Stop dreaming. At this moment, Zemu Koi's dissatisfaction also broke out. Although they have not encountered any danger so far, their strength cannot be seen, and the way these ninjas camp is very professional, Sawaki Koichi still feels dissatisfied with spending a lot of money to buy inferior products. If he wasn't worried about not being able to continue his business in Konoha, when those jonin asked him to ask for help, he would have refused outright. He may not know that the reason why Orochimaru can ensure the safety of them and the cargo is because Jiraiya is always watching. A powerful jonin has been following the caravan. This trip is basically foolproof. It can be said that Sawaki Koichi took advantage of this escort mission. But at this moment, Sawaki Koichi didn't think so. Instead, he was a little annoyed that these ninjas disturbed his rest. You can just kill this untouchable, but you still need to notify me? An experienced ninja would have expelled him long ago. I really shouldn't have hired unprofessional ninjas like you. Zamuko yelled angrily. Mr. Sawaki, he is a citizen of the Land of Fire, how can you be so cruel? Now Shu's eyes widened with disbelief. Cruel? He is just a refugee now, Sawaki Koichi said. Now, either drive him away or kill him on the spot. Don't forget, I am the employer. Mr. Sawaki, I suggest it is best to let him follow. Asakawa Naoki said. Namikaze Minato, Uchiha Makoto, and others also nodded. Their ideas were somewhat different from those of Naoki. This refugee may indeed be a real refugee, but there is another possibility, that is, he is a human scout sent by the Ronin. Asakawa Naoki once saw in the notes of his original parents that some Ronin with no fixed abode would often train some human scouts and threaten them with their relatives. After finding the caravan, the scouts will go to the caravan to investigate the situation. If the human scout did not come back directly, it meant that the ninja guarding the caravan was strong and ruthless, and the scout was killed directly. And if you come back, you can get the strength of the guard ninja based on the description from the scout. If there are powerful ninjas guarding them, they will naturally not attack. But if the guarding ninjas are as weak as they are now, the Ronin will come in full force. At present, they have a lot of manpower, and they are not sure whether the middle-aged man is a real refugee, or whether he is a refugee who has been coerced. It is probably impossible for them to kill him directly. The best way is to take him with you and send a ninja to guard him. But Zemu Koichi obviously didn't think so. He was more inclined to Asakawa Naoki, who dared to challenge his majesty. You guys are just a freshly graduated genin. If you don't take action, I will kill him myself. Zemu Koi's eyes showed a ferocious look. This world has never been truly peaceful. Refugees are everywhere. No one will pay attention to a few refugees dying outside the city. If you go in that direction, you can reach Konoha in about a day's walk. Now Shu pointed the way they came from to the middle-aged man, and handed 5 military ration pills into his hand. This should be enough food for you for a day. I'm sorry we can't take you in. Shu said with red eyes. It was clear that the person in need of help was right in front of him, but he was unable to help, which was the biggest blow to the passionate young man. Thank you, kid. The middle-aged man took the Bing Liang pill and said gratefully, but there was a bit of resentment hidden deep in his eyes. Since you are unwilling to take me in, then just wait. After the middle-aged man left, Naoki Asakawa sighed, I'm afraid there might be trouble tonight. Episode 48. Ronin attacks. I still need to do this little thing. Zemu Kaoi cursed in a low voice. What a bunch of useless ninjas. Although the sound was not loud, in the quiet night, and there were ninjas with chakra present, you could almost hear Koichi Sawaki's curse. You guy. The straightforward Uzumaki Kushina clenched her fists, but was stopped by Uchiha Makoto. Kushina, as a ninja you have to be patient. Uchiha Makoto shook his head. Seeing that Kushina really wanted to take action, Zemu Koichi finally gave in and walked into the tent in the caravan center without saying a word. Okay, everyone go back to sleep. If anything happens, I will notify everyone in time. Asakawa Naoki said. Now that things have come to an end, everyone else has returned to the tent to catch up on their sleep. However, Namikaze Minato, Uchiha Makoto, and Uzumaki Kushina stayed, plus Naoki Asakawa and Naoki, a group of 5 people gathered around the campfire. No words were spoken. That guy is really too much. Kushina whispered, taking the lead to break the silence. This guy really doesn't regard refugees as human beings at all. Shinshu also said angrily. If a ninja hadn't hurt his employer and would be disqualified as a ninja, I would have wanted to beat him up. Although Naoshu is still young, the person in charge, Zemu Kao, looks like someone who doesn't exercise regularly. A genin who just graduated from Naoshu can give him a good beating. This is a ninja. Asakawa Naoki said with emotion. A ninja is actually a tool, hired by merchants and entrusted by ninja villages. The world doesn't know when it will be at peace. The status of ninja in this world is not as high as most people imagine. In fact, it is more like a profession similar to that of a bodyguard. The salary may be higher, but the danger is also high. When there is no war, ninjas protect their wealthy employers. When war breaks out, ninjas are pulled to the front lines to fight other ninjas. However, if everyone is counted, the status of ninjas should be relatively high. After all, there are many refugees displaced by war in this world. The status of refugees can be known from the merchant's attitude towards refugees just now. Is this why you want to become a Hokage? Naoki looked at Asakawa Naoki and asked. More or less, I want to change the world. Naoki Asakawa said. Ninjas should not be tools of killing. I want to find a way to peace. Then your dream is really broad, Naoki sighed. I became Hokage just to protect Konoha. Hearing Naoki's words, Namikaze Minato and the other 3 looked at Naoki Asakawa in surprise. They didn't expect that he became Hokage because he wanted to change the world. Recall that Namikaze Minato's reason for becoming Hokage was similar to that of Nezuki. He also wanted to protect Konoha village. Dreams are not broad or narrow. The more realistic the dream, the easier it is to realize it. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. I don't know how to realize my dream now. Although he has the experience of learning from his previous life in the Celestial Empire and has the physique to practice Sage Jutsu, it is still very difficult to change the world. The reason why Uchiha Obito turned black was, in a sense, not because he saw Lin being killed by Kakashi, but because he saw the nature of the ninja world. The nature of this world has not changed because of the establishment of Ninja Village. Ninjas will still kill their relatives and friends for their missions. However, Naoki Asakawa will not turn as dark as Obito, because while he sees the darkness of the ninja world, he will never forget the warmth and light. The world is 3-dimensional and cannot be generalized. It's just that his current vision is still a little low, and his strength is not strong enough, so he cannot find a way to change the world. But he believes that one day, he will find true peace. I believe Naoki-kun's dream will come true. Uchiha Mikoto smiled, his eyes full of trust. I will also help you. Uzumaki Kushina smiled. Thank you. Naoki Asakawa smiled, it felt good to be believed. Naoki, although I admire your dream, Minato Namikaze chuckled. But I won't back down, because it's my dream to become a Hokage. Me too. Shinshu suddenly said with high spirits. I also want to be a Hokage. Uchiha Mikoto smiled. I won't admit defeat. Uzumaki Kushina said, clenching her fists. Why did the atmosphere suddenly become heated? Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. Everyone, come on, keep moving forward towards your dreams. Night was supposed to be a sleepy time, but the 5 of them chatted without even the slightest thought of sleeping. When they were teenagers, they were most energetic. If nothing else happened, they would probably be able to chat until dawn. Until there were faint footsteps in the distance, it was someone who deliberately lowered his voice. A little closer, you could still see the faint light of a knife, as if he was preparing for a sneak attack. Naoki, go and wake everyone up. Naoki Asakawa reminded. There's going to be trouble tonight. Got it. Shinshu lowered his figure and headed to the tent without making any noise. The other party may not know yet that his whereabouts have been discovered by Asakawa Naoki and others, and he is preparing to get closer and then attack. As everyone knows, Asakawa Naoki and others are also waiting for the opportunity, waiting for them to get closer before attacking. After Naoshi woke up several other people and caravan members, several sneak attack Ronin also came to the attack range of Asakawa Naoki and others. Enemy attack. Naoki Asakawa shouted loudly, causing several sneak attack Ronin to lose consciousness for a moment, and then the sound of several shurikens rubbing the air reached the Ronin's ears. This was the last sound they heard in their lives. As the shuriken slashed across the neck, the smell of blood burst out, and the 4 Ronin fell straight down, their eyes full of shock before death. I'm afraid they didn't expect when they were discovered. Apparently, according to what the refugee said, the ninjas here are all children who have just graduated, and the leading ninja is a child who has just graduated. Obviously, Naoki Asakawa, who is as tall as an adult, was recognized by the refugee as the leading ninja. Naoki, your shuriken throwing is really good. Namikaze Minato said with emotion. They had made arrangements before the Ronin arrived, 1 target per person. Although in the ninja school, the 4 of them had perfect scores in shuriken throwing skills. But after all, it was the first actual combat. To be safe, Namikaze Minato still threw 2 shurikens to ensure a one-hit kill. Not only him, Uchiha Makoto and Uzumaki Kushina also threw 2 shurikens. Only Asakawa Naoki used only 1 shuriken, which also killed him with 1 hit. This is not only a superb throwing skill, but more importantly, Naoki Asakawa is very confident in his throwing skills. It's just that I trust my shuriken more. Asakawa Naoki said with a smile. Episode 49. Shield. Asakawa, have the enemies been dealt with? Masamura Oki and 3 other teammates rushed over. It has been solved for the time being. However, these Ronin should only be the ones leading the charge. Don't let down your guard. Asakawa Naoki reminded. On the other side, after the ninjas gathered, the caravan leader Sawaki Koichi finally arrived late. After being woken up twice in one night, Zemu Kaoi felt extremely resentful. If these ninjas couldn't give him a reasonable explanation, he would definitely complain to them after the mission was completed. However, when he saw the corpses of 4 Ronin holding weapons, Sawaki Koichi's originally angry mind suddenly sobered up. Not only did his mind clear up, but his body also shivered. How many of you, dare I ask who these corpses are? Zemu Kaoi asked cautiously, the arrogance and contempt before in his voice were no longer there. These ninjas actually silently killed 4 adults armed with weapons. If they wanted to kill themselves, they would probably just use the sword to kill them. At this moment, he finally realized that although these ninjas in front of him had just graduated from the ninja school and were only teenagers, his wealth and life depended on them. A few Ronin want to make a sneak attack, Asakawa Naoki said without saying anything to him, and ordered, go and gather the caravan members together, otherwise we will not be able to protect so many people. Okay. Zemu Kaoi agreed. He had to accept that if there were no enemies, everything in the caravan would be arranged by him, but now that there were enemies, he could only obey the orders of Naoki Asakawa. After Sawaki Koichi gathered the caravan members and carriages together, Asakawa Naoki also narrowed the circle of 3 teams and 9 genin, and stationed them in the 3 directions of the outer circle of the caravan in the form of small teams to ensure that any direction enemies can be better supported when they appear. Although Asakawa Naoki doesn't know the strength of other teammates, he believes in the strength of Namikaze Minato, Uchiha Makoto, and Uzumaki Kushina. With them here, at least there will be no sudden attrition in the other 2 directions, but with Naoki Asakawa here, their side will be like a steel barrier. It can be said that the strength of the 3 teams is relatively average, so there is no need to worry about which side is particularly weak. Asakawa, what should we do now? Naoki asked. We can only wait. Naoki Asakawa said. In today's situation, the enemy is hidden and we are clear, and the initiative is taken by an enemy of unknown origin. If they act rashly in the dark, they will be more likely to fall into the enemy's trap. The only solution now is to wait for the enemy to attack, or to leave quickly after dawn. What would I do if I were the attacking enemy? Put yourself in his shoes, if Naoki Asakawa was the enemy of the attack. After the 4 Ronin who sent out a sneak attack died silently, he probably also knew how difficult his opponent was. When faced with a difficult opponent, of course he would not take action directly, but would first wear down the opponent's patience. The best time to take action is not now, but after the opponent has survived the long night and is at his lowest vigilance, that is when dawn is approaching. But the key is that bringing yourself into the enemy's thinking is not omnipotent, because everyone's thinking is different, and you cannot easily think that the enemy's thoughts are the same as your own. Maybe the enemy is just a fool who likes to be reckless and has no brains. However, considering that the enemy first eliminated the refugees as human scouts, and then eliminated the 4 Ronin for sneak attacks, Asakawa Naoki tentatively believed that the enemy still had some brains. Everyone, I estimate that the enemy may launch an attack at dawn. Naoki Asakawa looked at the other 2 teams and said. There are still nearly 4 hours until dawn. 2 members of each team rest for an hour, and the other member is vigilant and strives to get 2 hours of sleep each before dawn. Regarding Asakawa Naoki's proposal, Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Makoto's team finally agreed and started to make one person alert, while the other 2 took the time to rest. Naoki Asakawa also started to rest, letting Naoki and Masamura Oki be alert for 2 hours. It's said to be a rest, but actually, it's just to squint for a while. This was their first mission and they encountered an enemy. No one would be able to sleep during the battle. Letting them rest is just to loosen the tight string in their hearts, so as not to be too nervous and anxious when the war begins. In the distance, with the dim moonlight, Jiraiya lying on the branch took everything in his eyes, and couldn't help but admire a little in his heart. Although these little guys let the spy run away, at least their subsequent response was quite satisfactory. They were able to achieve this level on their first mission. These little guys are all very good ninja seedlings. When dawn was approaching and the sky was at its darkest, Naoki Asakawa, who had the keenest sense, heard some slight movement and quickly reminded. Wake up, the enemy is attacking. Asakawa Naoki's voice was so loud that not only did he wake up all the caravan members, but even the Ronin who were dozens of meters away and were preparing for a sneak attack heard his voice. But it will be dawn in a while, and even if they are discovered, they will have no choice but to go up. Kill. Kill them, and the food and weapons will all be ours. The Ronin leader held a long sword to encourage morale. A dozen Ronin holding swords immediately rushed towards the caravan, coming in the direction of Asakawa Naoki's team. If the number of people is large, it is natural to attack from multiple sides, but if the number of people is too small, attacking from multiple sides will only serve to deliver food. The commander behind the scenes is probably a wise man. Unfortunately, they chose the wrong direction and chose Asakawa Naoki's side. When they enter the attack range, throw the shuriken first. Naoki Asakawa reminded the 2 teammates. Got it. Naoshu and Masamura Oki nodded. Naoshu's hands were still shaking a little. Before this mission, Shinshu had never killed a chicken, let alone a human being, so it was normal to have such a reaction. However, people always have to grow, and this is the first lesson for their growth. When a dozen Ronin entered their attack range, Uchiha Makoto and Namikaze Minato also led the team to the wings of Asakawa Naoki's team to help him share the pressure. Take action. When Asakawa Naoki's voice fell, the ninjas who had been prepared took action at the same time, throwing dozens of shurikens at the same time. Because it was not a sneak attack, the Ronin holding the sword blocked some shurikens. But under the exquisite shurikens of Asakawa Naoki and Uchiha Makoto, how can ordinary people without chakra survive? With the second round of throwing shurikens, more than a dozen Ronin fell down. But the Ronin that attacked next made Naoki, a passionate and kind-hearted young man, jealous, and the original guilt caused by killing people suddenly disappeared. These damn guys. They actually used the villagers as a shield. I saw, under the dim light of dawn, 7 Ronin holding on to ragged villagers as shields to block the way. Obviously, these Ronin also know that their shuriken throws are very lethal, and they use ordinary villagers as shields. Can they still throw shurikens? Episode 50. Wandering Ninja. These civilians were held behind by Ronin with knives, and they could only walk forward slowly, looking at Asakawa Naoki and others with eyes full of pleading. Don't kill me. Please, I still want to live. Listening to the pleadings of the civilians who were used as a shield for human flesh, even ninjas like Minato Namikaze felt a little emotional, not to mention a naturally kind and emotional hot-blooded boy like Naoki. If you have the ability, don't use these villagers as a shield. Haha, kid, haven't you ever heard that a soldier never tires of deceit? A Ronin mocked. Aren't you very powerful with shurikens? Keep throwing. Another Ronin laughed. You just killed so many of us, why don't you continue now? Come on. Try whether your shurikens will hit us first or kill them first. Ronin shook the civilians in his hands and said angrily. But even with such ridicule, none of the 9 ninjas took action. Although they who passed the ninja school assessment could hit a wooden stake 20 meters away with a 70% hit rate, they could directly kill a dozen Ronin just now. But in the situation just now, there are enemies in front of you, so you only need to throw the shuriken with all your strength. Even if you miss, it will be fine. Now the enemy uses civilians as shields. If they miss, those civilians will be injured or even killed. In this case, even Namake's Minato, who scored perfect marks in the shuriken throwing technique, could not easily do it. Even though Namake's Minato was a born ninja, he still had trouble making a choice when it came to humanity and sacrifice. As a group of rogues entered the throwing range, they became more and more aggressive, and at the same time they became more careful, trying to hide their figures behind civilians. Hateful. Naoki and Masamura Oki were both ready to take out their swords and rush forward to fight the Ronin head-on. The other people also had this idea in mind. Since you can't use shurikens, fight in close combat and kill the Ronin with the sword in your hand. These little devils are still a little too young and have too little experience. Jiraiya, who was standing on a branch watching the battle, was ready to take action at any time. Meeting a Ronin on his first mission, and without an experienced ninja to guide him, was indeed a bit over the top. It's already great that Genin, who just graduated, can reach this level, but it's better not to suffer any real casualties. However, Naoki and the others were stopped by Asakawa Naoki before they could take action. Jiraiya, who was about to take action, also stopped and was ready to take a look at the next development. Leave it to us. In the first mission, he didn't want to see casualties among his teammates fighting alongside him. Mikoto. Naoki Asakawa gave Uchiha Mikoto a look, and Mikoto immediately understood what Naoki Asakawa was thinking and nodded tacitly. At this time, the Ronin had already rushed to a distance of 10 meters from Asakawa Naoki and others relying on the civilian shields in front of them. It only took a few seconds for them to fight in close combat. At that time, they will let these brats, who have just graduated from the ninja school, know the importance of combat experience. However, Naoki Asakawa and Mikoto Uchiha had already put their hands into the ninja bags on both sides of their waists. In the ninja tool bag that no one saw, the two people's nimble fingers wrapped themselves with a thin wire rope. One end was wrapped around the finger, and the other end was tied to a sharp shuriken. The next moment, Naoki Asakawa and Uchiha Mikoto threw 2 shurikens from both hands at the same time. A total of 8 shurikens were shot at the 7 Ronin. As the sound of shurikens piercing the air sounded, the Ronin quickly hid their figures behind the civilians, and those civilians closed their eyes, life and death. I didn't expect these brats to actually be able to do something. The Ronin's hearts tightened. Although these brats had average fighting experience, they were quite accurate in throwing shurikens. All the Ronin had died under their shurikens before. However, when the shuriken passed by them, the Ronin felt happy. I didn't expect these brats to miss it. The next moment, Naoki Asakawa's fingers pulled back. In the Ronin's incredulous eyes, the shuriken that had been fired unexpectedly reversed violently, severing the necks of the Ronin who had not yet reacted to the surprise. This is Uchiha's shuriken throwing technique. Of the 8 shurikens, only the Ronin in the middle suffered the worst. He was hit by 2 shurikens from Naoki Asakawa and Uchiha Mikoto at the same time, and fell down before he could even scream. Ah! The civilians who were sprayed with the blood of the Ronin behind them rushed towards Asakawa Naoki and the others like crazy, their eyes full of shock and excitement and gratitude after being saved. If you go any further, I'll kill you. Naoki Asakawa frowned and said coldly, the murderous aura in his tone directly suffocating these frightened civilians. Asakawa, you. Naoki, who was about to appease these civilians, was at a loss. He didn't know why Asakawa Naoki, who was usually gentle, could be so cold. Naoki, Masamura, and Kisaragi, guard these people. Asakawa Naoki said to the 3 of them. Beware of the spy disguised as Ronin inside. Asakawa Naoki did not completely believe in these civilians who were used as shields. Even if there were no spies inside, it would be easy to disrupt their formation, so it was better to guard them first. Okay. Naoki nodded. He reflected for a moment and realized that he seemed to be too impulsive and should learn from Asakawa to be calmer. The 3 of them took 7 civilians aside to guard them, and Asakawa Naoki's eyes began to look serious. After all the rogues were killed, the person behind the scenes was finally coming. In Asakawa Naoki's perception, 2 figures walked slowly from the darkness before dawn. No, to be precise, it should be one person dragging another person slowly towards them, Be careful, it's a wandering ninja. Asakawa Naoki reminded. In his perception, there is chakra in the body of the visitor. After hearing Asakawa Naoki's words, Namikaze Minato and others immediately cheered up. The reason why they can easily defeat those ronin who are older than them is because they have chakra. Facing wandering ninjas who also possess chakra, even ordinary chunin or even genin, students like them who have just graduated from ninja school will suffer from experience. Moreover, being able to organize so many ronin is probably not something that only genin can do. I didn't expect that a group of brats who had just graduated from the ninja school could destroy the ronin team I carefully formed. It's true that I underestimated you. The wandering ninja's voice was a little rough. He must be quite old and had been wandering for some time. Following the dim light of dawn, Asakawa Naoki and others finally saw clearly the appearance of the person coming and the person being dragged. The wandering ninja was burly and ferocious in appearance, but the man being dragged looked familiar to them. It's you. The rope tree guarding the civilians couldn't help but make a sound, and what surprised him was not the wandering ninja, but the half-dead man dragged away by the wandering ninja. This person is the refugee who begged them to take in before.